Now, what should businesses of today and tomorrow do as actors in international law? And more importantly, how can businesses influence good practices? These and more formed part of the discussions at the recently concluded 150th Conference of the International Law Association in Paris. The president of the International Law Association Nigerian branch, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Damilola Olawiyi, a professor of energy and environmental law, and currently a United Nations independent expert representing Africa on the UN Working Group on Business and Human Rights, joined other discussants to share his thoughts on these and other issues at the conference. We have some of the details up next. October 13, 1873 saw the birth of the International Law Association, ILA. 150 years after, it's time to celebrate a milestone anniversary of the association, which now has over 4,000 members with 61 national and regional branches spread over 5 continents of the world. The French branch hosted this milestone 150th anniversary at the City University in Paris, which had the theme, Build Tomorrow. On June 18, participants were welcomed to the opening ceremony which held in this hall. It's a hybrid event which had many more participants joining online. The event was moderated by the honorary president of the French branch and president of the organizing committee, Catherine Kessijian. It was an evening of frank conversations, spiced with a display of French culture, music, and entertainment. One after the other, speakers took to the podium to welcome participants to the event, with some speaking in French and others in English. The executive chair of the ILA since November 2022, Professor Christine Chinkin, a professor of international law, goes down memory lane.
When in 1872 the Arbitral Award determined that Britain must pay a large sum of gold as reparation to the United States, Prime Minister Gladstone described the process as, to quote, exemplifying the means by which 2 civilized nations could settle differences without either having to admit being in the wrong, 2 proud nations going in peace and concord before a judicial tribunal. And then the following year, in October 1873, a small group, including lawyers, philanthropists, diplomats, representatives of peace associations, met in Brussels, where they formed the Committee for the Reform and Codification of International Law, renamed in 1895 the International Law Association. And so it's from that meeting that we are here today in 2023, celebrating the association's 150th anniversary. And I do think we have a lot to celebrate.
If you look to the reports of 80 biannual conferences of ILA throughout its history, we can confirm the contributions made to the treatment of all the relevant issues of international law over this century and a half. We are living now in times where the pillars of world order that we took for granted are under attack.
One of the breakout sessions of the conference featured a discussion on businesses as international law actors. The president of the International Law Association Nigerian branch, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Damilola Olawiyi, joined other panelists to share his thoughts on the topic. The Secretary of the Nigerian branch, Clement Osuya, was also in attendance.
First, we think businesses can use their leverage over their suppliers and subcontractors to promote good behavior, especially in the area of sustainable consumption, sustainable packaging, use of eco-labels. For example, Microsoft recently released its supplier social and environmental accountability manual, in which it says clearly that all its suppliers must demonstrate that they are reducing water and energy waste and that they are promoting sustainability. And without demonstrating that, they will no longer act as suppliers for Microsoft. I think that's a good way of promoting sustainable consumption, and that's a good way that a business can act as an influencer for good conduct. Many of the things that we hope to achieve, whether we're talking about advancing the SDGs, will require money, and lots of money, as a matter of fact. So the key question we ask is that how can financial institutions, especially development financing institutions and multilateral development banks, how can they be at the forefront of ensuring that the financing of infrastructure development does not exacerbate human rights abuse? Of course, we would like to see businesses and financial institutions saying that we will not finance any project that does not align with the UNGPs or with international human rights law.
If we take a look around, we are doing business in a highly uncertain environment. We are doing business with increasing risks in multiple domains, particularly in cyber, in data, many others. We see increasing waves of protectionism, numerous legislations being enacted here and there, and we are doing business in a global economy. So we cannot do business in a global economy if we don't have everything we need to manage the company in a consistent and current manner worldwide.
The conference was rounded up on June 20th, with participants acknowledging that this is a difficult time for international law. The consensus appears to be that in looking to build tomorrow, there's a need to look back at the origins of the association and join hands with many others in reclaiming peace and justice in the world.